The biggest name is finally off the market as Nikolai Ehlers has made a decision, so now I wanted to make a video going over all of the notable signings that have happened since the last video I posted where we reviewed day one of free agency. So let's get into these signings, starting off with the big one. Nikolai Ehlers has signed a 6-year contract with the Carolina Hurricanes with a cap hit of $8.5 million per season, which isn't really a big surprise. I actually had Ehlers going to Carolina in my free agency predictions video. It's one of the few that I actually got right. It just felt like Carolina always made the most sense as a potential landing spot for Ehlers given their cap situation and their need for an upgrade in the top 6. There's also the Danish connection there with Freddie Andersen, which I'm sure was used at least a little bit in the recruitment process. It goes without saying, but I think this is a phenomenal signing for the Hurricanes. It's nice that they were able to finally land a star forward and they're not going to have to worry about him leaving in the near future. $8.5 million per season may seem like a lot for a guy who has never cracked the 70-point mark in a single season, but honestly, with the cap on the rise and the fact that Nikolai Ehlers was far and away the best player available in free agency this year when the market actually opened, I'm kind of surprised Carolina was able to get him signed for less than $9 million per season, especially considering the fact that they didn't even give him that 7th year. It's only a 6-year deal. So as far as the contract itself goes, I actually think Carolina got good value here. Nikolai Ehlers has been one of the more consistent top 6 wingers in the league throughout his career. Absolutely lethal at using his speed and creating chances off the rush, somebody that you can always rely on to be in that 25-goal, 60-point range, and that's been playing on a team in the Winnipeg Jets who have never really deployed him as a legit top-line forward. In each of the last 2 seasons, he's averaged less than 16 minutes of ice time per game. I imagine his usage goes up in Carolina, and if he stays healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a perennial 75 to 80-point guy for them. He definitely has that kind of skill. Moving on now to the next signings. In my day one review of free agency, I only included players who signed for a minimum of $1.5 million per season just to avoid going over minor league signings. But for this one, I did decide to include a couple guys who signed for less than $1.5 million because they all have performance bonuses in their contracts, and there's a good chance that they will earn over $1.5 million next season. And they all are pretty notable players, so I figured I would give my thoughts on them. First up, James Van Riemsdyk has signed a 1-year deal with the Red Wings with a base salary of $1 million, and the chance to earn up to $750,000 more through performance bonuses. Fine signing here by the Red Wings. Obviously, depth scoring was a big issue for Detroit this past season, and JVR is somebody who's coming off of a pretty solid year for Columbus where he was productive in a bottom 6 role, finished with 16 goals and 36 points in 71 games. Definitely not a guy who's going to come in and fill that hole on the first line at the left wing position, but if he can come in and score around 15 goals and put up around 30 points, playing on the third line and maybe playing in the net front position on the second power play unit, I'm sure the Red Wings will be thrilled. Next up, the New Jersey Devils have signed Evgeny Dodonov to a 1-year deal with a base salary of $1 million, and Dodonov could earn up to $2.25 million more through performance bonuses. Similar to the Red Wings, the Devils are another team who could really use a bit of added scoring punch in the bottom 6, so this signing definitely makes sense for them as Dodonov is coming off a season where he finished with 20 goals and 40 points playing in a bottom 6 role for the Stars. Not a bad bet here by the Devils at all, with this just being a 1-year deal. Next up, the Colorado Avalanche have signed veteran defenseman Brent Burns to a 1-year deal with a base salary of $1 million, and Brent Burns can earn $3 million more through performance bonuses. Fantastic signing here for the Avalanche in my opinion. At 40 years old, Brent Burns is still a very effective defenseman, and he's not your normal 40-year-old. This dude is an absolute tank. He hasn't missed a game in over a decade. He averaged nearly 21 minutes of ice time per game this past season with the Hurricanes. He's still one of the best in the game at getting pucks through from the point. He should be a really good fit on the Avalanche second power play unit, and considering the fact that the Avalanche already have guys like Makar and Manson on the right side, at even strength, they're going to have the luxury of giving Brent Burns relatively easy deployment, and even at his age, I think he's going to kill it in that role. It's nice to see Burns going to another contender because he's somebody who has still yet to win a Stanley Cup. In Colorado, he should have a pretty good chance to compete for one. Next up, the New York Islanders have signed undrafted Russian free agent Maxim Shabanov to a 1-year deal with a base salary of $975,000, and he could earn up to $3.5 million more through performance bonuses. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that I'm very familiar with this player. I don't watch the KHL, but there's no doubt the numbers he's been able to put up over there over the last few seasons are impressive. So especially for a rebuilding team like the New York Islanders, why not bring him in on a one-year deal, see what he can do, see if his game translates well to North America. It worked out well for them last season bringing in a guy like Slipikov, so I like the fact that they're trying something like that again here. There's really no risk involved. Next up, the San Jose Sharks have signed defenseman Dmitri Orlov to a 2-year deal with a cap of $6.5 million per season. This is another one I got right along with Ehlers. I had Orlov going to the Sharks in my free agency predictions video. I think the Sharks are still quite a ways away from being a playoff contender, but even if they just wanted to get a little bit more competitive next season, they definitely had to add to that blue line, and Mike Greer certainly did. He went out and brought in John Klingberg already in free agency, which we talked about in the free agency day one review. He claimed Nikolai off waivers along with signing Orlov today. And somebody like Orlov especially is definitely a big upgrade for them in the top 4. I feel like Orlov kind of left a sour taste in everybody's mouth because of his performance in the playoffs, but he was really good for Carolina during the regular season. I imagine he's going to play big minutes in San Jose and be used in all situations, and he's somebody that should be able to handle that. So especially for a team that literally needed to spend some money just to hit the cap floor, I think this is a solid signing. Orlov should be a serviceable placeholder for them on that blue line over the next few seasons as they wait for some prospects to show up. Next up, the Red Wings have brought in Mason Appleton on a 2-year deal with a cap of $2.9 million per season. There's been a lot of mixed reviews on this signing from Red Wings fans on social media. I've seen some people comparing it to the Justin Hall and Ben Sherratt and Compher and Kopp signings. I'm not going to go that far. I would have preferred if this was just a 1-year deal, but at the end of the day, this signing is probably going to be pretty non-consequential. Appleton is only 1 year removed from a season in which he put up a career-high 14 goals and 36 points in 82 games. If he can give the Red Wings that kind of production in a third-line role, I think they will be very happy because, again, the Red Wings sorely lacked depth scoring this past season, and during Steve Yzerman's presser today, he said that he envisions Mason Appleton playing a role on the penalty kill, so hopefully he can help out there too, because Lord knows the Red Wings need it, as this past season they had one of the worst penalty kills in NHL history. Next up, the Edmonton Oilers have signed Andrew Mangiapane to a 2-year deal with a cap hit of $3.6 million per season. I think this is one of the better signings of free agency as a whole. I don't want to get too ahead of myself and say that the Oilers got an absolute steal here, because I said the same thing last summer about the Skinner and Arvidsson signings, and we all know how they worked out. But the Oilers are a cap-strapped team who desperately needed a middle six winger. They didn't have a whole lot of money to work with, so I think being able to land a guy like Mangiapane at just $3.6 million for the next 2 seasons is huge. Although his offensive production was down a little bit this past season compared to the rest of his career, he was still a pretty effective two-way bottom 6 winger for the Capitals. If he gets an opportunity to play up in the lineup in Edmonton, which I think in all likelihood he will when looking at their roster, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take off. He definitely has the skill. He's had a 35-goal season before. Next up, the New York Rangers have signed Taylor Radish to a 2-year deal with a cap of $1.5 million per season. Solid depth signing here by the Rangers. Radish should be a nice addition to their 4th line. He's a strong two-way winger. He once had a 20-goal season with the Blackhawks, and he's been a very effective penalty killer in the past as well. Next up, the Penguins have brought in Anthony Mantha on a 1-year deal with a cap of $2.5 million. For a rebuilding team like the Penguins, I think this signing makes a ton of sense. Obviously, Mantha is coming off of a season where he only appeared in 13 games due to a knee injury. He ended up having to get surgery to repair his ACL, which is definitely a serious injury, but if he can come back and even just be 80% of the player he was before the injury, then this is going to turn out to be a great signing for the Penguins. Mantha has a unique skill set. He's big, but he's fast for his size. He scored 20-plus goals in a season 3 times. And definitely somebody worth taking a chance on a cheap 1-year deal. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he has a strong first half of the season in Pittsburgh and they're able to land a second-round draft pick for him around the deadline like the Capitals were able to get for him back in 2024. This next signing definitely surprised me a bit. The St. Louis Blues have brought in Pius Suter on a 2-year deal with a cap hit of $4.125 million per season. I really thought he was going to get a much larger contract than that, especially considering how weak this year's free agency class was when it came to centers. Suter is coming off of the best season in his career where he put up 25 goals and 46 points with the Canucks in 81 games. Now I will say this, Pius Suter probably won't score 25 goals again, but even if he just goes back to being a 15 goal, 30 point guy, I still think this turns out to be a good signing for the Blues. He is a very versatile player. He was fantastic defensively this past season, great on the penalty kill. He's somebody that can play up and down the lineup. Whether he ends up slotting in as the 2C behind Robert Thomas or the 3C behind Thomas and Schenn, he definitely makes the Blues a much deeper team down the middle. In my opinion, you really can't go wrong signing a guy like Suter to a short-term deal like this. And now finally, finishing up this video with the last signing, the Winnipeg Jets have signed Gustav Nyquist to a one-year deal with a cap hit of $3.25 million. I may be a bit biased, but I think this is a solid signing for the Jets. Nyquist should be a nice addition to their middle six. Obviously, he's coming off of a pretty rough season, but he's only 1 year removed from a season in which he put up 23 goals and 75 points for the Predators. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm expecting Nyquist to put up those kind of numbers again with the Winnipeg Jets, but I do feel like at this point in his career, he can still bring some good things to the table. He's still a solid playmaker and can kill some penalties. So that is going to wrap up today's video, going over all of the notable free agent signings that have happened since the last time I posted a video. As always, I want to know what you guys are thinking, so let me know down below in the comments, how do you think your team has done in free agency so far this year? If you made it all this way to the end of the video and you ended up enjoying yourself, please remember to leave a like. It's the best way to let me know that you enjoyed, and it does help with the videos a ton. And most importantly, if this was your first time checking out the channel and you want more NHL content just like this all year round, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all again soon.